Welcome to Sports from the Couch.
I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
With your host, Mike Mercado.
Players cannot stand him. Coaches cannot stand him. Most importantly, the fans can't stand him.
Brought to you by Mercado Airwaves.
I'm gonna say it once, and hopefully I'm wrong, but it's a disaster waiting to happen.
That is so bad, that is absolutely brutal.
Hello and welcome into another edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day. It is Monday, December 14th, 2020 in the beautiful city of Chicago, and the Bears beat down the Houston Texans. We're all over it. What does it mean for the organization moving forward? But before we get to that, let's take care of some housekeeping notes. You can follow me all over social media. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media. The show's on Twitter at College Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and shares wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. Become a producer of the show or get our interviews ad-free and before anybody else with athletes and celebrities at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. It's the holiday season, my friends. Get some nice gifts at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves. Come play video games with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. And, of course, keep up to date with everything on the network on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves.
With Montgomery on 1st and 10, his running back in a hole, and then he's off with a nice stiff arm, and it's a foot race down the sideline. Jackson in pursuit. Reed in pursuit. He's gone to the house. 80-yard touchdown run. Wow. Gotta go. With a second down and 5, Duke Johnson, and stuck right there by Mack, who tears the ball away. That's a fumble, and it's Chicago's ball. At the 40-yard line, Khalil Mack. Diamond formation, second down, goal at the 5. Trubisky a perfect 7 of 7. And he goes to the end zone and caught for a touchdown. Jimmy Graham grabs another.
Lady, set.
Through again, they got him, and it's Mack with a safety. Big time hit, Khalil Mack comes up with his first sack in 5 games. Another dance for the Bears D. Boy, are they putting their hands around the throat of the Texans on both offense and defense. It's a 1st and 10, and outside they go. Mooney looking for a block, and he gets one from his other receiver, Robinson, to the pylon. Touchdown! Got it! 12-yard touchdown pass. Trubisky to the rookie Mooney. And the Bears go up 22-7. One timeout for the Bears.
Demetrius Harris up top left.
And they got the touchdown. That's caught by Robinson. 3-yard touchdown reception. 3rd touchdown pass in the first half by Trubisky. And a lone fan enjoying it here at Empty Soldier Field.
And with a dominant performance beating the Houston Texans 36-7, that the Chicago Bears regime of Ryan Pace, Matt Nagy, and Mitch Trubisky just saved their jobs. We need to talk about this, guys. It was an ass-kicking by the Bears in Chicago over Deshaun Watson and his Houston Texans. Just look at some of these numbers, and we got to keep it 100. You know, I know when you guys join here on Sports from the Couch, here on Mercado Airwaves, I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm not going to stretch the truth, use some weird numbers, use stats to pad out a episode. I'm going to tell you how I'm feeling, and especially how I'm feeling at the moment. I was really upset going into this ballgame. I actually thought, if you listen to the show on the weekends, on Thursdays, when we make our predictions for the week moving forward in the NFL, our confidence picks, I thought Houston was going to win this matchup. And then as we got closer and closer to Sunday, I just had that feeling that this had every making of a Bears pointless huge win. I even tweeted out to Tony Gill. Tony Gill, who, friend of the show, works for NBC Sports Chicago, does all their production when it comes to their podcasting from the White Sox, the Bulls, the Blackhawks, the Bears, the Cubs, all that fun stuff. He mentioned to us what we thought was going to happen during that Bears game, and I tweeted out, well, because Deshaun Watson deserves to ball out, and the Bears deserve to lose this game, and as a fan base, we need them to lose this game, They're going to dominate, and Watson's going to have a bad game. And sure enough, that's what happened, because that's the NFL. So before we get into my thoughts moving forward and what I think it means, we got to give credit where credit is due. Look at some of these numbers. 241 passing yards, 169 rushing yards. I'm not sure what David Montgomery has to do to get the ball more. Whether it's Laser or whether it's Nagy calling the plays, they're just not, they don't give it to him enough. I'm not saying that he's Derrick Henry. He's not. He's not. But when obviously it's working, keep feeding the man. Get those points. Let them drag out the clock. It's why you lost the game already once this season. Just recently. Let the man eat. 410 total yards. That defense came to play. Looking, man, I'll be honest with you. I'm Roquan Smith, man. He's a baller. He's a beast. 23, 24 years old. I love the draft pick when they got him out of Georgia. Love it. Love it right next to Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack showed up. Was he healthy? Was he just motivated? I don't know. Akeem Hicks, always a great guy to have on your lineup. I love Akeem Hicks. This defense has not been playing well the last few weeks. They showed up today. Now, with that being said, Houston doesn't have a lot of weapons. And there's, even with all that, Deshaun Watson, while it was an ass-kicking, you never thought that Houston was out of it. Were they going to win? No. Did you ever feel like they were going to come back? No. But you knew in the back of your mind that if you messed around, that if the Bears didn't put points on the board, Houston can put up points, even without Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona. And with that poor excuse for an offensive line and an offense, like, it is what it is. Deshaun Watson is still a baller, a killer. Now, all that being down, right? We could talk about the Bears getting 2 fumbles. We could talk about them really shutting down Houston when it came to the third downs and the fourth downs and making plays when they need to. But what does it mean when you win this game 36-7? What does it mean for your franchise? What does it mean in the NFL? I mean, we take a look at the standings right now, and the Bears moving into a 6-7 position. Still third in the NFC North, tied with Minnesota. Green Bay at 10-3 has a chance, if everything falls their way, to have home field and a bye into the playoffs. Now, if you're Chicago, you're looking at a matchup against Jacksonville, Minnesota, and Green Bay. Minnesota up next. So if you take care of business, you're looking at 7-7. Depending on what happens with the Arizona Cardinals, you can't worry about that. You can't worry about what happens with Tampa Bay. And to be honest with you, you should just take your chances and win your game and let the NFL. Because any given Sunday, somebody's going to get upset. You can't be that team. You were already that team once with Detroit. You were that team when you lost, when you went from 5-1 to 5-7. You've gone through your streak. And somehow, because of this pandemic season, you've survived. You've been around. Okay, you got to take advantage of it now. You got to be, I think, as inconsistent as this Bears team is, it wasn't as much inconsistency as just bad football. Compared to the Minnesota Vikings, who I think are just inconsistently bad, which is more dangerous to a fan's heart in that matchup. That means you need to take care of business. And that's the one thing in the NFL, the difference between a 12-4 record and a 7-9 record, an 8-8 record, is winning the games when you're supposed to. When you get lucky, when you catch a break, you got to take advantage of it. A team that finishes 12-4, that's what they get. Because here's the thing, in the NFL, anything does happen. You know, we see it all the time with a young quarterback who wants to hold on to the ball for a long time, right? Holding, padding. Why? Because he wants to let somebody get open. Okay. Why does that happen? Well, it's because in high school and in college, that quarterback could do that. You can't do that in the NFL. Why? Because the margin of error, the difference between a 12-4 team and a 4-12 team is razor thin. It's a move here and there, an injury here and there, a coach here and there, whatever the scenario may be. So when you're the Chicago Bears and you've put yourself in this position where you've played like crap, but now you can play the team in front of you that doesn't play as consistent as you, and you can put yourself in a playoff position, you can save your season. Now that's optimistically speaking. Let's talk about what I think should and will happen. Do I think the Bears winning this game saved the job of Mitch Trubisky, Matt Nagy, and Ryan Pace? I don't think so. I don't think you come back from what happened after Green Bay and Detroit. But if you find a way to get to 9-7, you beat Minnesota, you beat Green Bay, you beat Jacksonville in between those two teams, you get to the playoffs, you never know. Anything happens at that point. And I'm not trying to fool you and sell you fool's gold. Not at all. No. I'm just saying, you got to think like this front office. You got to think like this ownership. They're invested in these guys. They wanted to work with these guys. They're looking for reasons for it to work. So once it starts adding up, what else do you think is going to happen? They're going to get signed now. If you miss the playoffs, if you lose to Minnesota and you lose to Green Bay, you only find a way to get a win in Jacksonville. Or you beat Green Bay and you beat Jacksonville and you lose to Minnesota. Whatever the scenario or case may be, yeah, they're getting fired. You have to get to 9-7. You have to get to the playoffs if you want to save your job. Because I saw Lovie Smith get fired at 10-6. There's a lot on the line for the Chicago Bears. And all this win did was make things more complicated for the future. Because I ask you, to my people, to the amazing audience of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves, on this Monday evening, what did that win do for this organization? Is Mitch Trubisky now all of a sudden a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson? Is he a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes? Because he had one good game. You know, I get supporting, if you're a fan, your favorite team's quarterback. I get not wanting to see a man lose his job. You know, that's the one thing we believe here. We hate when people lose their job. We don't want people to lose money. Stop feeding the family. You know, stop putting food on the table. That's not what it's about. But you're delusional if you think one good game, a perfect game, the perfect game that we've seen in this entire regime, the one time, now justifies bringing everybody back. Nothing else has changed. And I had a wonderful online debate, you know, I guess that's all there is nowadays, with one of my friends, Sean. And we were speaking about this, that a lot of the experts were picking Mitch Trubisky. Sure, on a lot of the list, the potential, the guy with the most upside, the most exciting guy to pick, the most potential, whatever adjective, what kind of exciting lingo you want to put into it. Everybody knew that draft night there was only one choice for the Bears. It wasn't move up one pick, give up all this equity to go up one pick over San Francisco to get Mitch Trubisky. That was never the option. The option was at number 3, you get to choose who you wanted. And the easy pick was the guy who played top-tier competition, won a national championship, Heisman contending, awesome human, in Deshaun Watson. Major league quarterback already in college football. It was so bad that in the moment, everybody was not only confused that, oh wow, they went quarterback after bringing in Mike Glennon, but that they went with that quarterback. You know, and I don't give him a hard time for Patrick Mahomes. I don't. And if you've been a fan here on Sports from the Couch, you know this. It's unexcusable that they didn't draft Deshaun Watson. That was the pick. We know it. And all this win does, it's making more confusing. It adds more cloudiness in the eyes of Bears fans. Don't get fooled. Don't go down the same rabbit hole that Notre Dame Irish fans go through. This is not the goods. This is still not the quarterback. It was still the wrong choice. And all you did was now put yourself in a position where you're going to have an okay draft pick, or you just saved a bunch of dudes' jobs. Did they earn it? In the NFL, when there's such a quick turnaround, do you want to keep doing the same thing over and over again? Now, you have to be able to play the devil's advocate in that scenario. Because it is the NFL, there is the chance that, okay, they do keep Matt Nagy. They do keep Ryan Pace, or some form of that combination, throw in Mitch Trubisky there. And something goes right here, something goes right there, and you do win a few games. Because guess what? Nick Foles is a Super Bowl MVP. So we know it's possible. Trent Dilfer is an NFL Super Bowl champion. Anything is possible. I get it. But you can't rely on that. You can't think that that's exactly what's going to happen. And this is something that I've been harping on for a few weeks now. Let's say you do go 8-8, 7-9, 9-7, right? Let's say all things, it's the best cases of scenario. But you're still going to move on, regardless. You don't make the playoffs, you're still going to move on. Number one, all these other teams have a head start on you. So they're already in the evaluation. They're already looking at people. They're making contacts. It's a pretty big deal. And then you keep winning games, but you miss the playoffs. You don't give yourself good assets. You don't, let's say the McCaskies, Virginia, George, are sitting there saying, yeah, okay, we're bringing in this new person, but they got to keep this guy. So if you're a new GM, you got to keep Matt Nagy. If you're a new coach, you got to keep Mitch. So on and so forth. Because this is something I don't think a lot of us are thinking, even though we're talking about a whole regime change. Are the Chicago Bears and this ownership, during a pandemic season, after losing revenue, are they going to pay 2 general managers and 2 head coaches at the same time? This is the same organization that isn't having contract talks with one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. Somebody who's made mistakes this season. Somebody who I don't think is DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams. I don't think he's 1, 2, 3. But a top 20 wide receiver in this league who hasn't had the best of quarterbacks throwing him the ball. Do you think that this organization is going to be the one that makes that decision? It was a tough one. It's a tough one for me because I wanted to enjoy this Bears win. And for the most part, I did enjoy it because it was good football. There was a lot of things I liked, especially Matt Nagy catering the offense to Mitch Trubisky. Who would have thunk it, huh? Maybe catering it and making it so that he's comfortable with it. I don't know. That's a little crazy, right? But I don't think that would have been a problem had your GM just gotten you the quarterback that you probably should have needed and not given Mike Glennon money. But nonetheless, in its own little void, it was nice to see them beat up on a team for once and for a game to kind of get out of hand and be in control early on. But it just complicates things. And I think it gives Bears fans this wrong notion of their team. More than earlier on the season with when they were 5-1. Right now, I feel like there's a little bit more fake machismo with this team. And I think it has to do because it was Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes both had bad days at the same time when Mitch was balling out. But I don't know moving forward if it's going to keep feeling this way. Especially if this team doesn't make this playoffs. But I do think long-term wise, we'll see. I don't know who survives, if anybody survives, or if they just did enough to keep their jobs in the minds of the McCaskies for Ryan Pace, Matt Nagy, and Mitch Trubisky. Let me know your thoughts, though. Did you enjoy this beatdown by the Bears over the Houston Texans? Do you now believe Ryan Pace got it right by picking Mitch over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes? I'm all over the universe. I'm on Twitter at Mike and Media, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media, and the show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. That'll do it for us on this edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Don't forget, you can follow us all over the universe. I'm on Twitter at Mike and Media, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media. The show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and share us wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. Become a producer of the show or get our interviews ad-free and before anybody else with athletes and celebrities at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. It's the holiday season, my friends. Get some nice gifts at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves. Come play video games with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. And of course, keep up to date with everything on the network on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves. Enjoy all the games. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We will see you next time here on Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm Mike Mercado.